Scripture. So this rabbi, all of these different commandments. It's like 613 laws in the law of Moses. It's like all these different laws and commandments. Which one is there one that is the greatest? What is the greatest one? Yeah, you're right. He said love is. That he starts by saying the greatest commandment is to love the Lord your God, right, with all your heart, mind, soul, and strength. And then asking for number 2, he just kind of threw it in.
Yeah.
And he said the second one is just like it, that you shall love your neighbor as yourself. And those 2 laws, all the rest of them are covered.
Yeah.
Right? So I guess that invites the question, like, what does it mean to love God?
Does that mean right? And that's what I feel like the New Testament. If you're going to choose to believe the New Testament, you have to, go along with the revisions of sorts, because like a lot of those Leviticus laws, at least how I read it, is Jesus was kind of saying these aren't as important, or these are ancient laws that we don't need to adhere to anymore because I'm here now and as the connector between humans and divinity.
The one who fulfilled the law, really. He said that the law is not obsolete, but it found its completion in the perfect, if you will, the perfect man, fully God, fully man.
Yeah.
But the fulfillment of that was found in Jesus. Nobody else could do it, right? Nobody else could keep God's law, but he did.
Right. Yeah.
And even Jesus said, I did not come to abolish the law, right? But to fulfill it. So he's not saying that the law is no longer important, right? Because the law reflects the character of God. And Christ came in love, right? But we have, I think, in our day, a distorted understanding of what love is, right? So love isn't acceptance. Love isn't always like applauding what somebody does, right?
Yes.
What would you say the definition of love is?
Yeah, and that's
important, right?
I've heard that kind of idea that we don't. It's not just about applauding anybody and supporting all free speech. I guess is but I still think that I mean, are we talking about like LGBT?
Sure, we could use that as an example.
I mean, it's such a heavy topic for me. That's a big deal. That's a big. Well, see, for me, that isn't a heavy deal.
Are you alright? I'm alright.
Yeah, it could have been worse, right?
That's never been an issue, right? For me, worrying about like, what does the Bible say?
Sure.
It's okay to be gay or something like that. Because I feel like God is all powerful. God is, He's supreme deity. Something like that could never be that big of an issue. I mean, I think that if we're gonna question, once we start to think that we have the power to really separate, I have some pretty fringe beliefs. Like, I don't think that there's really a hell. I think that we don't have the power to really separate ourselves from God like that. I think that hell is just us separating ourselves from God and not experiencing heaven.
Yeah.
C.S. Lewis in the final battle, because Narnia is just it's his Christian fan fiction kind of thing.
Yeah.
But at the end, everyone's accepted into heaven, even the dwarves who don't believe in Aslan. And when they are given the feast, they're like, "Why are you giving us all this raw vegetables and all this rotten stuff? We can't eat it." And so everyone was accepted into heaven, but it's how you. But that's kind of a long-winded.
Yeah.
I think hell is kind of
right.
I think I get that from my mom. It's like a heavy, it's like a Jewish, I'm saying, origin. My mom's Jewish. But for me, that I was just saying, that's never been an issue for my faith. And so when that is a discussion, it turns me off, because I feel like I've come to a conclusion on that. But that's just me.
Sure.
If I'm hearing you right, sorry to interrupt, but if I'm understanding you right, it's the question of what, I guess, it would boil down to, like, what does the scripture actually say, and did Jesus actually say it, right?
Yeah, because, and that's the other, with Jesus, because everything he said was so good, you have to kind of take everything he said with it, because otherwise, that's how my dad is covenantly, because all this great stuff that Jesus said about loving, if he isn't the Son of God, then he was a liar about that, and so then how much can you really take, how can you trust the rest of it? So you kind of have to take the idea of some divinity. But with what you were saying, it was interesting about Thor and stuff, because Jesus is a real historical person, and regardless of if you believe he was divine, he was still, these are historical documents of him.
Yeah.
But with Thor and Norse gods. There's no.
Right.
I mean, there aren't multiple historical accounts
Easy
of
to dismiss that as being entirely
kind of a
mythical.
mythology. Yeah.
Right. With Jesus, it's not that simple.
There's
He's gotta
layers.
do
I mean,
something
yeah,
with
and,
it.
yeah.
There's actually a book in the Bible called 1 Corinthians. I'm sure you're familiar with it. In the 15th chapter, it says that it wasn't just like one or two people that were eyewitnesses to his resurrection.
Yeah.
But it was saying like over 500 people
Yeah.
saw him rise from the dead. And Paul was the author, and he said most of the people are still alive. So he's saying if you don't believe me, he's like go talk to Johnny down the street, go talk to Frank, right?
Yeah.
Like he can give an account for it.
No, exactly, and that's
Yeah.
where Christianity has some. Yeah, I was gonna say clout. Yeah, some legitimacy that
Yeah.
other.
Yeah.
But like, I mean, you can get a lot from. I think a lot of philosophical and religious books you can still get a lot from.
Yeah.
And that's where I have trouble dismissing other religions and stuff because so many people have lived such fulfilled lives and been such great people.
Yeah.
And I can't imagine God or St. Peter at the gate saying, "You were good, but not the right kind of good."
Yeah.
I can't imagine that. That doesn't feel like an all-powerful,
Yeah.
supreme, celestial deity. And that's where a lot of I'm starting to monologue and certain
Yeah,
things
no,
as I
that's
start
fine.
thinking. I apologize.
It's good. It's good. This is good.
Been a lot
Like
of
we
stuff
hear
to
this stuff a
cover.
lot.
I have a class that I have to go to.
What's your name, by the way?
Aidan.
Aidan. My name's Rich. Yeah.
Nice to meet you, Rich. And what church you guys speak from
Well, we're from
Georgia?
Athens, Georgia, so
Yeah.
we got a church up there. But
Yeah.
What's your? It's
Look up.
it's non-denominational.
Yeah.
It was planted by a Southern Baptist church, but they dropped. They're not part of the SBC.
And I go to Furrow, so it's like Reformed, Baptistic, kind of, if you're talking characteristics and, chunks as opposed to like a specific name.
Yeah.
Like, we follow the Gospel Coalition, Statement of Faith. But yeah, if you have any questions, like I'm here most days.
No, yeah, I think I got your.
Yeah, that's great. But probably the most important thing that we want to leave you with today is that, if you were to die today, do you think you would go to heaven, or do you think you would go to hell, based on what the Bible says about Jesus Christ, sin, goodness, right? So if God is loving, He must punish evil, and so then you have to think in your own mind: have I ever done anything evil in the sight of God? Like things that break God's law, like lying or stealing.
I feel like God, maybe not, but like I feel like the celestial power
Yeah,
punishes me every day in a way with everything that I've done wrong,
yeah,
Because I mean, with the guilt that racks you, or I have terrible anxiety with certain things, right? I'm constantly berating myself.
yeah,
And so, but I mean, like the things that I do that are wrong,
yeah,
I know they're wrong, and I end up acknowledging. I feel like I have a difficulty with the idea of a really personal God where you can have dialogue. My parents both are like, "Oh, we have dialogue." Where I've prayed to God, you respond to someone.
Yeah.
That's awesome, but
Yeah.
that hasn't happened for me, and so it's a really hard leap of faith for me right now in my faith. It's not a personal relationship. I'm kind of more of a deist clockmaker type of.
yeah,
But I mean, so many people have had experiences with God and with deities, and so I don't want to delegit. I mean, people have experiences. I just haven't had that experience. So for me, that's my difficulty in faith because we like to see to believe, but that's the whole power of a religion is the faith you put into it. And
Do you think that's what would convince you ultimately? Would it require some type of special personal experience, or is it possible that information that you hadn't considered came your way that could?
I would love. As like an information seeker, so wanting to know how the universe works. That's why the idea of a intelligent being makes a lot more sense than the great. Or there's something coming out of nothing, out of nowhere.
yeah.
But it's such a hard there's nothing. Neither really makes sense from our human perspective.
Yeah.
But I have to. I have to get going.
All right,
It was
good
great
talking to you.